Study Session 2: Power and Government. Introduction. Power is a very essential instrument which enhances effectiveness in government. It is when government enjoys substantial power it can fulfill its aspirations as the issue of decision-making is concerned. In this study session, we shall therefore expose you to the relationship between government and power. When you have studied this study session, you should be able to demonstrate the concept of power and analyze the relationship between government and power. The concept of power. Power can be defined as the capability of an actor or institution to carry out its will despite opposition. It can also be described as the ability of an actor or institution to compel another actor or institution to do something which he or she would not have ordinarily done without the use of sanction. From the foregoing, it becomes clear that power is defined in terms of social relationships and interactions between two or more parties in which a party has commanding control over the actions of another party, resulting from her strategic possession of instrument of force. Here, what I am trying to say is that Party A enjoys power to control Party B, not because Party B wants to comply ordinarily, but it is the fear of sanction from Party A that makes Party B to comply, or rather, due to the instrument of coercion possessed by Party A. Let us quickly highlight some sources of power. These include naked force, which involves the application of might to achieve compliance. The principle of might makes right denotes that in the relationship between two contending parties or gladiators, their position or positions in the power equilibrium determines who has control over the other. It is the victor that will have control over the vanquished, master over the servants, and lords over the serfs. Other sources of power may include wealth, position, and information, amongst others. The relationship between government and power. Thomas Hobbes, in his Leviathan, portrayed the state of nature as that which had people living in chaos, strife, and perpetual violence. At a stage, the hostility and violence that dominated human affairs became unbearable to the people, and thus the search for a public order began. Consequently, people came together to establish a political society on the basis of social contract. They therefore agreed to restrict their freedom and empowered a sovereign power, that is, government, to enforce morality, law, and order. Considering the foregoing, you will agree that there is bound to be lawlessness if there is no government, and no government can accomplish its goals and objectives, particularly as they relate to security of life and property, without being entrusted with some measure of power. Which is better, to have a despot or autocratic leader who can provide security of life and property of the people, or a true democrat who cannot provide public order? The impact of power on governmental operations is so enormous, as also evident in the divine origin of state theory. In this theoretical proposition, people were said to have cried unto God for assistance when the world was in a state of nature. They said, "We are perishing, give us a chief, who we shall worship in concert, and who will protect us." In this case, obedience of one's government appears to be religious, and civic duty of every citizen. Undoubtedly, people give their consent to government for specific reasons. In democracy, people often give their mandates to their various representatives in whom they entrust the power and who have responsibilities and functions to perform in the actualization of electoral promises, which form the basis of the social contract between them and the citizenry. If these representatives fail to use power entrusted in them judiciously for the benefit of their benefactors, who are the people, so the people have the right to withdraw their mandate or power from the erring or failed representatives. Under the military regime, people have very little or no right to withdraw their mandate from the military rulers because they never sought the people's mandate in the first instance in their quest for acquisition of political power. It's the government that was set up through the barrels of gun. In democracy, power belongs to the people as they determine to whom to entrust the power in the representation of their interests. People also possess the right to withdraw their power from the representatives, that's the politicians, when they feel the representatives are not performing. It is quite imperative for government to avoid civil disobedience by carefully applying its power of coercion. The power of government dwells in the consent of the people. State was established in the first instance by people's consent, and if the agent of the state, that's the government, deviates to provide the desirous needs of the people, which form the basis of the setting up of the government, the people have rights to withdraw their loyalty and individual sovereign power. The civil unrest that marked post-election annulment period in Nigeria in 1993 forced the then military president, General Ibrahim Babangida, to step aside, drop his elongation plan to stay in power beyond August 1993. Through civil disobedience and strife, history has shown many powerful regimes were brought to their knees. So it is not misleading to say that the ultimate power belongs to the people. Nonetheless, power also plays a fundamental role in the life of any government. Government should always endeavor to operate beyond absolute application of naked force, because such situation tends to build culture of violence. Government will need to build a system that promotes a true sense of belonging among the people through provision of essential services like security of life and property, social infrastructure, justice, equity, fairness, among others. It is no gainsaying if the government, either democracy or military, provides such essential services mentioned, it will afford the government an ample opportunity to move beyond exercise of power to actualize the compliance of the people to its laws and order. Then the government will begin to exercise its authority rather than power over the people. Study session summary. In this study session, we focused on the relationship between government and power. Do you find this study session thought-provoking? If you have any difficulty to understand any section of this study session, please feel free to contact your tutor. End of study session 2. Thanks for listening.